Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well. So today I just wanted to share with you a few books that are some of my favorites. So the first book I have for you is Swans by Zhong Cheng. This is a recounting of a childhood during the Cultural Revolution as well as the Great Leap Forward in China in the 1950s. So this is the author right here, her mum and her grandma. So she tells the story of her grandma and her mother, and as well as her own. She grows up during the Cultural Revolution, and it's a very deep and committed retelling of how it was like to grow up during those times, and it was really a very good reading experience because it made me empathize with a lot of peasants who lived during the Cultural Revolution and lived through Mao Zedong's reign. And this book also has a lot of pictures of a family growing up during the Cultural Revolution, as well as politics and the social dynamics of life during these times. And it was really an eye-opener because it's such a world of difference on how China is right now compared to how it was. And obviously, this all happened in a span of 60 or to 70 years. So it was really an eye-opener because in such a short time, China was revolutionized, and it made me appreciate Chinese history so much more because of the amount of pain and struggle that a lot of the people in China went through, especially during this time. So if you're interested in Chinese history, I really recommend this book. And so this is Swans by Zhong Cheng. Okay, so the next book I have for you is a romance. It is The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. Well, I wouldn't really classify this as a romance because the romance is a very small part of this book. So this book is about a group of traveling librarians, a group of women who travel from house to house in Kentucky to deliver books to some of the residents living in a town. So some of the residents are uneducated and they do not really believe in literature besides reading the Bible. So seeing some of them transform from people who shun literature to people who love them, to people who love books, was really very enjoyable to read. And so this book is about a woman from the UK called Alice Wright, and she moves to America and she marries an American man. But things aren't as they seem, and slowly things unfold, and her husband doesn't really love her, and slowly she starts to evolve into a different person as a whole. Also follows a few other characters, but I'll let you figure out and find out what happens to them. And overall it's just a very feel-good book that I think anyone will enjoy, and it is very wholesome and a cozy read. So The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes, I really recommend it. Let's get on to the next book. Probably the most well-known and widely known fantasy book, which is The Lord of the Rings. So this is the complete book, so it isn't split into 3 parts. It's a big chunker, and I love that cover of Gandalf. So I mean, not much hasn't been said about this already, but I just wanted to give my own thoughts on it. I really love the travelling segment of the hobbits as they travel through towards Mordor, and slowly their friendship takes some turns, but overall they strive and they get through everything that they encounter. And the friendship between Frodo and Sam was really heartwarming, and I really loved their friendship as well as the adventures that they went through with all the other characters as well. But it is classic for a reason, and I've been meaning to get to reread this, but I have a lot to read, but it's definitely one of my favorites. And I don't know how some people can find it boring, but it is definitely not a bore. It is so cozy, and it immerses you deep into the world of J.R.R. Tolkien, and it definitely won't disappoint. So many things happen in this book, from adventures, from meeting elves, teaming up with dwarves, and battles, and meeting legendary characters. It has it all. So I highly recommend you to read The Hobbit before this, because it is sort of the prequel to The Lord of the Rings. It's about, I think, Frodo's relative called Bilbo. And yeah, so it's a classic, and I really love this, and especially this cover. So The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. The next book, which is one of my favorites, is a Penguin classic, and that is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. So I would consider this a young adult book, but with very adult themes. It follows a gang living in the Socks, SOCS. So there are a bunch of kids. The main character is Pony Boy, and he lives with his two brothers, and they're orphans. And yeah, so it basically tells a story of them with their friends in the gang, and them fighting with another rival gang. And it's just a very adult book, talking about gang violence and violence as a whole, troubled childhood, as well as the difference in socio-economic status between the two rival gangs, and the very deep complexities that run with it. And yeah, it is written by S.E. Hinton, who at the time, when she wrote this book, I think she was 16 or 17 years old, which was very surprising to me, that such a young person could write such an amazing book. And to any younger adults who are interested in gang life or gang violence, this is a book to read, and it's a very short one as well, so it shouldn't take you more than a few days to complete. And yeah, I really love the characters in here, especially Pony Boy and his brothers. I found their relationships to be very tender, to be very conflicted, and to be very they just make you feel like they are part of your family, with all its troubles and all its conflict, but as well as love and family and connection. Yeah, having the feeling of your brothers having your back, of always supporting your family. And yeah, this is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, and I really recommend you check out this book if you haven't already. Okay, next up we have a big chunker of a book. It's about more than 1,000 pages. So this is The Fall and the Rise of the Third Reich by William L. Shire. So he was a journalist or a reporter, I think, who was living during the rise of Hitler in Germany. So he was there, and he gives a few first-hand accounts of what happened during the time. And it is a chunker, so 1,200 pages long, and it is so well written and it's so in depth. And obviously it was written in the 1960s, if I'm not wrong, but it still is one of the conclusive pieces on the rise and fall of the Third Reich. And even though there are new documents that are released, this really still holds up in recent times, and is a must-have for anybody who is interested in World War II or German history, or anybody who just wants to get a good look into what living in Germany was like, and who were the main characters and main players in the evil regime, Hitler, to gearing to his rise and his fall, and his demise at the end of his life. So yes, it is a very insightful book, and it really made me learn so many things about how the war played out, and how ultimately Germany lost because of a few bad decisions, a bad leader, of course, and yeah. So I mean, you can find out all of what happened in this book, 1,200 pages, and I really love this book, even though it cost me quite a lot to buy. But I have my girlfriend to thank for that, because she bought this for me for my birthday. So yes, this is another one of my favorites, The Fall and Rise of the Third Reich by William L. Shire. Okay, another one of my favorites is a classic, and that is Dracula by Bram Stoker. So, I mean, everybody has heard about Dracula, but the book is about a few characters who visit Transylvania, who visit Dracula, and I think this is Dracula here, and I think this is Mina. So it is written in a journal entry form or letters. They write letters to each other, and so it is a very interesting way to write about it, about how certain characters meet Dracula and the slow descent into being scared and being traumatized by Dracula. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. I felt that at the end it was a bit rushed. Nonetheless, it was a very enjoyable read, and made me appreciate the origins of Dracula even more, and what pop culture benefited from this book. And yeah, I recently watched what was that? Nosferatu as well, which is I think based on Dracula. Nosferatu is the recent one that just came out, and I felt that it was good, but certain parts really made me read it out. But I always go back to this book and read about the first few chapters, especially about Jonathan Harker slowly descending into madness and finding out about Dracula's secret of being a vampire. So yes, this is Dracula by Bram Stoker, and I love it so much. So the next book is quite similar in the impact it had on pop culture. It is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This is not the 1818 text that most people would prefer, but I feel that this is still very, very enjoyable. So this is about a scientist called Victor Frankenstein, who creates life artificially. So he creates a monster essentially, who comes back to annoy him and really destroys his whole life. It is very different from the Frankenstein's monster that you see in movies, who's displayed as a dumb creature who doesn't know how to talk and just destroys. This creature is very much intelligent and very philosophical, and he grapples with the meaning of his life and the meaning of why he was created and his creator. And ultimately it is a very tragic story about Victor Frankenstein's descent into madness. And yeah, Frankenstein's monster really made his life hell and killed everything he loved. But sorry, there's a bit of a spoiler there, but anyways, this book is about 200 years old, so hopefully it doesn't that wasn't too much of a spoiler. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I really recommend you to read it as well and find out where the origins of Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster came about. Yep. Okay, next up I have a thriller slash literary fiction for you. This is Nature is Burning by Greg Iles, and Greg Iles is my favorite author, so this is one of my favorite books, if not my favorite book. This is the start of his Nature is Burning trilogy. It follows a mayor and a lawyer and a former prosecutor from Natchez in Mississippi. He is investigating slash trying to resolve his father from a racial crime. So it's a trilogy dealing with corruption and racism and social politics, and it's just so many things happen in this book, and so much insight and good writing and great characters happen in this book, especially the second book, The Bone Tree, which is so heart-wrenching, and it deals with a lot of internal struggle and fighting for your family, for your father, and so much inner turmoil in the heart of the main character, Pancake. So there's a few books before this book, a few books before this series, which basically follows Pancake as he solves a few other cases. But if you don't have time for that, I would really recommend you to start with Nature is Burning, the start of the Nature is Burning trilogy. But all of Greg Iles' books are equally as good. But I really like The Bone Tree and just all his writing. I love him. I love Greg Iles, and if you haven't checked him out yet, I really recommend that you do so. And yeah, so this is Greg Iles, Nature is Burning. Okay, next up we have this book called Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close by Jonathan Safran Foer. This is a very quirky book. you see all these red lines inside. That wasn't me, by the way. They are part of the book, so it was published like that. There are pictures and very interesting and unique way of writing the story. And it follows this boy who lost his father during 9/11, and his father was a very eclectic and interesting figure in his life, very close to him, a very present father. So understandably, it sends I think his name is Oscar into a spiral of finding out a mystery that his father inadvertently set up for him, and he follows a clue which leads him down to other people's houses, and the people who see a young boy finding about his father's tragic death take pity and are very compassionate towards him, and that makes for some very funny and just some very unique situations where he's not afraid to say some things to strangers, and it's just a very enjoyable dynamic between some of the characters, between him and his mom, him and an old man who lives above him. And I really enjoyed this, and enjoyed the way it was written and the illustrations and pictures. So numbers here. Really recommend you to read this. Really enjoyed it. Okay, next up we have The Ink Black Heart by Robert Galbraith. But really, all of this whole series is my favorite. Robert Galbraith, if you don't know, is J.K. Rowling, writing under a different name, and it's a mystery, so it isn't about fantasy or magic, but it is a crime-solving duo that is Strike and that is Robin, and it's a very extremely slow-burning romance as well. And if you're into that subplot of romance, I really recommend you to read this series, because it really evolves from their friendship, from their starting as people who don't like each other, to their friendship, to their eventual love, which I hopefully will come out in the next book, which comes out in September or October if I'm not wrong. And they follow like very interesting plots and interesting, very subversive plot twists, and maniacal characters, psychotic and murderers, serial killers, or the like, people sending them their agency, like their hand, their severed hand, everything like that. It's just, I don't know how much I can say about it, but it is so good. And if you love good characters, if you love suspenseful plots and satisfying payout, I really recommend this whole series. And it starts out with the Cuckoo Calling, which I have as well, but In Black Heart in particular is very interesting, because I realize I keep saying the word interesting, but I'll try to expand my vocabulary in the future. But as you can see, the certain characters are having chat groups, so these are the direct messages between different characters, but they're doing so concurrently, so it creates a very interesting dynamic. I'm sorry for using the word again, but it is really enjoyable to read, because sometimes the same character would speak to another character from a different chat group. I've never seen that before, and it was so enjoyable and and especially very funny to read sometimes, because it's like digging into people's personal life, or in the fiction form, of course. So I would recommend you to read this whole series, the Strike series, Common Strike, by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling. Okay, last but not least, I have another classic. It's The Count of Monte Cristo. This is the ultimate revenge story. I think there is Edmond Dantes, who is wrongfully accused of a crime, and he's in prison for 15 years of his life, and he loses his fiancée, he loses his life, he loses his job, just because a few people were jealous of his success and his fiancée. And yeah, it's really the ultimate comeback story about him breaking out of prison and being successful and taking up a new identity to get revenge on these people who have wronged him. And certain parts it's a bit long-winded, but I feel that it is a very satisfying way of getting back, of building up his revenge, and of slowly culminating his resources and his success to just get back at these 3 people who wronged him. And at the end of the book, you'll be very satisfied. That's all I can say. Even though it's a chunker, you'll be very satisfied before it ends. And especially the first part when he gets sent to prison, the way he breaks out, that part is also very engaging. And the characters he meets, and he himself is a very conflicted character. He's in conflict with whether he really wants to take revenge, and at first he is hell-bent on getting his revenge, but slowly he starts to have a change of heart, as you can see, as you can read in this book. So yeah, it is really one of the best books I've ever read. One of my favorites, and hopefully I can continue this series talking about some of my favorite books. And yeah, so that is the 10 of my favorite books, and hopefully you enjoyed me rambling about them, because I really love talking about books, and I hope you gain some enjoyment out of that. Okay, so that's it. I'll see you in the next video. See you.